Shalom, Israelite family. This is Elder Shamar. I'm back with you with another video lesson. The title of this lesson is called The Truth Concerning Divorce and Remarriage. And this will be part one of a 2 or 3 part series. Not sure yet. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's get right into this. Some teach that if a man or woman has remarried and has a living former spouse, they are living in sin. So as with all matters concerning our walk before Yah, only the scriptures carry any weight to determine if we are walking in obedience or not. 2 Timothy 3:16 says this: all scripture is given by inspiration of Elohim, that's God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. So, with that, let's begin this lesson, and let's look at what Yeshua said about marriage and divorce. Then we will read what the Tanakh says, and finally we will read what the Apostle Paul wrote and see if we can reconcile all of them. All right. So let's go to Matthew 19, verse 1 through 9. If you're taking notes, Matthew 19, 1 through 9. And I'll begin reading. It came to pass that when Yeshua had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came unto Yeshua, testing him, saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for any cause? And Messiah answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Excuse me. Verse 6. Wherefore they are no more two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Now the Pharisees said unto him, why did Moses then command a man to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? Verse 8. And he said unto them, Moses did so because of the hardness of your hearts, allowed you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. Verse 9. I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery. And whosoever marries her which is put away does commit adultery. Now, the only reason that the Pharisees asked Yeshua the question the way they did is because of how divorce is stated in the instructions on divorce Yah gave to Moses. So let's examine what the law of divorce says. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 24. Deuteronomy chapter 24. I'll give you a few to turn to that. Okay. And I'm going to begin reading at Deuteronomy 24 verse 1. When a man has taken a wife. Now keep in mind, this is the law of divorce that is stated in the law and the prophets. Verse 1. When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she does not see any favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house. Verse 2. When she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Verse 3. If the second husband hate her also, and write her a bill of divorcement, and gives it to her in her hand, and send her out of his house, or if the second husband die, which took her to be his wife, verse 4, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. Well, after that, she is defiled. For that is abomination before Yahweh. And you shall not cause the land to sin, which Yahweh your Elohim gives you for an inheritance. Okay? Now, what do we know so far? We know divorce is allowed, and we know the proper way divorce is to take place, according to the scripture we just read. But let's break down the law of divorce to determine the circumstances that were involved then with Israelite men and their wife, which allowed Moses to obtain permission from Yah to allow Israelite men to divorce their wives. Then we will compare that knowledge with what Yeshua said about divorce and interpret all of that as it relates to the wicked and perverse age we live in now. But before we start the next segment, let's go over some key points in Deuteronomy 24. Now, notice what it says in verse 1. Those of you that are reading along with me. When a man has taken a wife and married her, okay, that means had consummated it. There's been a consummation. And it come to pass that she does not see any favor in his eyes. What does that mean? That means whatever this woman does, whatever this wife does for this man, he still does not show her any kindness. And she can see it in his eyes that there is no favor there. There's no kindness. There's no satisfaction. Nothing she can do that she does is pleasing to him. Now it goes on to say, because he has found some uncleanness in her. Notice it says, because he has found some uncleanness in her. It doesn't mean that there is anything worthy of him treating her with unkindness and with no favor in his eyes, or treating her in a way that is not a way that a husband should treat his wife. It says, because he has found some uncleanness in her. So right away we know that this is an issue that is taking place with the man. It's not saying that she broke any law concerning the marriage that would justify him treating her like this. It says, because he has found some uncleanness in her. And so, but anyway, despite that, this is what the Most High gave Moses to pass down to the Israelite men. It says, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, give it to her in her hand, and send her out of his house. That is the correct procedure, according to the law of divorce. Then it says, when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Now remember, we're discussing this issue concerning a person being remarried and having a former living spouse, which some teach and claim that the person that's in that situation is living in sin, because they'll say that that person is committing adultery. But right here you see that in verse 2 it says, when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Yeshua said that he did not come to destroy the law and the prophets, but he did come to get rid of the abuses or the false way Israelites were interpreting the law to their own advantage. Now, verse 3 says, if the second husband hate her also, in other words, has no kindness, no favor, she cannot see any favor in his eyes, nothing she does ever pleases him. It says, let him write her a bill of divorcement, give it to her in her hand, and send her out of his house. Or if this second husband die, which took her to be his wife, her first husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. You can't go back to, the scripture says, you can't go back to your first husband or wife, even if your second wife or husband died. Her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife, because after that she is defiled. for that is abomination before Yahweh. And you shall not cause the land to sin, which Yahweh, your Elohim, gives you for an inheritance. Okay? So this is part 1, and I will be back with part 2, and we are going to dig into this and discover the correct understanding of divorce and remarriage according to the scriptures, not according to the misinterpretation of the scriptures, but according to the correct understanding of the scriptures as it is written. Okay, so with that, this is part 1 concerning divorce and remarriage, and I'll be back with you shortly. Shalom.